What's up, YouTube fam? This is your girl, Lauren Denise, host of this Two Shall Suck podcast, A Fresh Perspective on Grief. If you are just coming to this channel, welcome. Super hyped to have you here. Go ahead and click around, see what video resonates with you. If this is your third, fourth, fifth, 27th time here, welcome back. Thank you so much for continuing to join me on the channel. On this episode, we're going to be talking about infertility. We're going to be diving into it, and I have two of my very close friends, Christina and Jordan Artis, and they're going to be talking about their journey with infertility unexplained. So they had their own journey, but unfortunately, the doctors didn't really have a reason. And so, it really was just unexplained infertility. But luckily, they had a wonderful storybook ending, I guess you could say. They have two beautiful children. And so I'm just really grateful to have them on to be able to share their journey. And so we dive into what infertility is, what that looks like as far as the different types of infertility, because I didn't know that there was more than just IVF. So we talk about that. We talk about things you can do to support your partner in the journey when you guys are going through that infertility journey together. And we talk about just some positive things that you can be thinking, the grief behind it when you're going through it, and just some really strong, impactful words for those people who are going through it. So if you yourself are going through the journey, or if you know someone who is going through the journey, please share this episode with them. Take a listen and just sit, enjoy, and leave a comment, as I always say at the end, of your favorite part, what you thought, how it helped you. And I cannot wait for you guys to get into the episode, and I hope you enjoy. What is up, my loves? Welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the squad. If this is your multiple time. If you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for continuing to rock with me on this journey. So, as you can see, we are going to be talking about infertility today. I know this is a topic that a lot of couples, I don't want to just say couples, a lot of people are going through in general, right? Are having issues conceiving. And it just hurts my heart to know that people are going through that who really want to have children. And so I knew it was important to bring someone, or someone's, shall I say, on to talk about that. My guests today are two very close friends of mine who had some infertility, or had an infertility journey, shall I say. And now they have two beautiful kids, so it was successful. But I know that there are people out there who are still going through it, or who are wondering what's going on, and don't really know where to go, or, kind of feel alone. And so I wanted to bring them on to talk about it. And I typically only hear really from the female perspective. And so I love that both of them, my friends, their husband and wife, were both able to come on, and for him to share his male perspective, and then for her to share her woman perspective. So I thought it was really important for them to come on as a couple and to talk about it. And so I just want to read some quick, I like to give y'all some statistics, read y'all some quick statistics. And let me just go ahead. If you're looking at me on YouTube, I am recording this video after I did the interview. So we have two different outfits on. Okay. So let's just go ahead and throw that out there now. Okay. I did the interview. We only had a certain amount of time, so I did that. And then now here we are. We are doing the intro part. Okay. So let's just go ahead and knock the elephant out the room. Okay. If you're looking at me on YouTube, but I'm gonna go ahead and read you these statistics. So according to UCLA Health, they did a survey in 2020, and 15% of couples from reproductive age, I'm sorry, not couples, 15% of people who are of reproductive age will have trouble conceiving. That is as of 2020 UCLA Health. And basically what infertility is, if you aren't aware, infertility means that you're not able to get, well, I'll say the Webster definition is that you're not able to get pregnant after 1 year or longer of having unprotected sex, or trying, right? A lot of people, don't really recognize something is wrong until, like, maybe they are having a lot of unprotected sex, if they're married or whatever. And they're like, we've been, kind of just going with it and not necessarily trying, or if you have been trying and haven't been able to. So that is what being, having infertility issues means, is that you're not able to conceive after a year of trying, or either having sex unprotected, them shooting the club up, and nothing's happening, right? And so some statistics, that word, I don't know why I can't say that word, y'all. Statistics some statistics that I want to share. This is from singlecare.com. And so they talk a lot about infertility. So again, as I said, 15% of couples will have trouble conceiving, and that's of a reproductive age. So reproductive age they have here is from 15 to 44. And so if we look at infertility worldwide, statistics as a whole, 9 out of 10 countries with the highest total fertility rate are in Africa, followed by Afghanistan. Now, that was from 2017, so it probably has changed a little bit, but that is the most recent one that I was able to find. Also, Sweden actually has one of the highest fertility rates in Europe. I guess women have at least 2 children there. That was per 2018. Now we look at infertility in the United States. About 85% of couples will actually be able to conceive their first year. 7% of couples will be able to conceive their second year. And infertility affects 10% of women between the ages of 15 to 44 in the US. And this was per the CDC in 2019. And then half of the couples, so 48%, with difficulty conceiving do not consider their condition to be infertility. And that was of 2020. And so if people are having, what that is saying, basically if people are having trouble conceiving, or if they're having sex often, and again, they're having sex unprotected and shooting the club up and nothing's happening, they don't basically connect it with infertility. They just assume they're just not supposed to get pregnant, or they just keep trying, right? And then another thing, infertility statistics by sex, as reported, 9% of men aged 15 to 44 and 10% of women around the same age. Infertility is nearly as common in men as it is in women. And so I think that's important to note as well, that I feel like a lot of people hear infertility and they assume the woman can't do what she was naturally born to do. And what this is saying is like, no, with men and women, sometimes men are the problem. Like within this 10%, like sometimes half of it's men, half of it's women, right? I feel like when I hear infertility, you never hear like the man is really having an issue. It's always somehow put on the woman. And that's just not the case. And studies show that. And then again, so this is the same thing. 30% of infertility cases can be attributed solely to the female, and 30% can be attributed solely to the male, and 30% can be attributed to a combination of both partners, and 10% have unknown cases or are unexplained, which is my friends who are coming on, theirs was unexplained infertility, which, oh my God, we talk about it. It's frustrating because it's like you don't have an answer. Like, okay, well, at least if it's her, okay, or if it's him, okay. But like for you guys to just not have an answer, we'll talk about that. So I'm really excited for you guys to get to the episode. I can read all these statistics, but I'll just post it as I always do. I'll post this link in the show notes so you guys can go over it and go over there and look, especially if you are on the journey, or if you know someone who's on the journey. This is a great episode for them to listen to, because again, you have an honest perspective from both of the couples. And so I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode with my very, very good friend. So we will get right into it. Married for 6 years, together for 12, Christina and Jordan candidly discuss their challenges navigating their way through infertility treatments, a topic not openly discussed. They accept that there's only so much that can be explained in life, all the more truer for their journey. Their goal is simple: offer people tips that they've learned along the way. Christina and Jordan live in Alpharetta, Georgia with their beautiful children, my niece and nephew, Aiden and Aubrey. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my beautiful, beautiful friends, Christina and Jordan. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you guys for being here. You all look so beautiful and just melanin glowing and everything. I'm brown skin girl. Shout out to B. But no, honestly, thank you guys for being here. I know that you all have been so open and so honest about your journey. And so I thought it was really important, again, to bring you both on, because like I said, I've really only heard it from the woman's perspective. I haven't really heard from a guy. So that's why I was like, what? Yeah, you and Jordan? Please, thank you. And so I wanted to start, like I said, I brought the statistic up about the 15%. But if you can just talk just a little bit about your journey with infertility? I know it was, kind of a long journey for you guys, but if you could just give the listeners what your journey has been so they can understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah, so we tried to conceive shortly after getting married, about a year or so, right? And like pulled the goalie immediately. And nothing was happening, but we were fine. And then after a while, it's like you start to get nervous, like what's going on? And we started fertility treatments. And I would say that the span of our fertility treatments was a grueling 2017. So we started with Clomid, like an oral pill that you would take to kind of rev up, your ovulation. And that didn't work. We coupled that with IUI, that's intrauterine insemination. I can never get that. And when that didn't work, after several rounds of that, we were left with IVF.
Yeah.
So it's like we went through, I guess, pretty much all that they could have offered us, really.
Yeah.
Our diagnosis was unexplained infertility, which is extremely frustrating, but it pretty much says that there is not an identified issue here. Like, it's more of a diagnosis of elimination of everything else. So it's like, okay, no medical, diagnosis outside of we don't know what to tell you. So wow. It's kind of, I would say bittersweet. Like, obviously it wasn't you absolutely can't have children, but it was we don't know why you haven't been successful yet. So that was really frustrating.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating. And I didn't even realize, so like when you were going through the different things, I guess for me, and I'll just speak for myself, but I feel like when I have the conversation about infertility, you automatically think about IVF. I didn't realize there was like other things, and IVF was kind of like its own thing. So you learned something today.
They try to do the least invasive, least expensive process or, method first. And once that fails, and they try again, then you bump up to the next level. You try that. And so IVF is the most expensive kind of last resort thing that you want to do. And it's the most invasive, the most painful for the woman. It's
for many reasons, it's kind of like last resort.
Right. Understandable. So let's talk about that. Hearing that diagnosis, as you say, of unexplained infertility, it's like, okay, well, what is it then? Like, tell me about the grief behind that when you hear that diagnosis and you're like, we're trying, but you're giving me nothing.
It's interesting because I think we probably processed it two different ways. I was just kind of like, okay, I was frustrated. I did feel frustration, but it wasn't like doomsday. It was, okay, we haven't been successful. We don't know why, but they didn't tell us we couldn't. It's just more frustrating because we've been trying and we've been unsuccessful. So I do feel that treatment is necessary, but it was like that glimmer of hope that was granted to us that like, well, maybe, in all of this, something will happen and naturally we'll conceive and, it'll be a wonderful story to tell the kids later on or whatever. But I think Jordan, and I don't want to speak for you, I think you kind of internalized it differently because of how you think.
I mean, for me, it's kind of along the same lines. I really felt like since they didn't tell us something was wrong, since they couldn't identify what was wrong, that, we need to save this change and keep trying on our own. And I just felt like we could make it happen on our own. But after a while, when it didn't, I finally just had to stop living in denial about it all, and maybe a little sense of like, damn, I'm not man enough to make this happen. Like something wrong with me, even though we check out, what's going on? I'm supposed to be able to do this,
right?
And it's not happening. So that's
and even sorry to take it back, even before they actually said, okay, unexplained, it was kind of like we both went through a grueling process of being, examined, and individually while we were awaiting those results, we're like, well, dang, what if it's me? What if I can't? What if there's something going on with me? Why we can't have, kids? What if I'm denying him of the opportunity to be a father because, something's going on with me? So there's all of that going on. And with us independently. And when we finally get the diagnosis, from what I remember, Jordan, you were kind of like, well, it would be kind of nice to have something to fix. Like he was like, if I would rather know like what we need to target.
The unexplained part was the hardest for me to get with, because I'm like, for one, y'all doctors, y'all, this is what you get paid a lot of money to do, is to figure out this stuff. I'm not okay with unexplained. There's got to be an explanation for this, right?
Agreed.
Agreed. And just like she said, I'd rather there be something. If I had everything the way I wanted it, we wouldn't be in this boat in the first place.
Same.
But if I could get a little of what I want, y'all be able to identify something specific that is easily fixable, preferably with me, so that way she doesn't have to go through anything, and we can fix that and let's go forward, Yeah. And we weren't able to get that. Every step of the way we checked out, and it was, like she said in the beginning, bittersweet.
Yeah, and then you get to the end, you're like, okay, well, is it my fault? So like, I want to dive into that a little bit. So you're waiting, so you go get poked and prodded, essentially, to figure out what's going on. What are the feelings like waiting for that? Like, obviously, it was one of those things, like you said, it wasn't me, it wasn't you, we just don't know. Which to me, I'm the same way, Jordan. I would have been annoyed. I'm like, well, what am I paying you money for? What did you go to school for? I got questions. And somebody gonna have to give me some answers. So I get it. But like, let's talk about that, because I can imagine people who are listening, couples who are listening, and they're kind of waiting. Like, what is that feeling like? Or how did you kind of combat that feeling of like, okay, well, what if it is me? Or what if, for both of you guys, if you did combat the feeling, like, how did you combat that feeling while you were waiting for those results?
That's a good question. I don't know if I actively like combated those feelings. Did you?
I was just nervous along the whole way. I just had feelings of, really the hardest feeling I had to fight was, what if this never happens for us? And having to battle with that and having to adjust, because I wanted to be a father since
he was born.
Since I was born. Being a father is something I've always wanted, right? Yeah. It's something that I cherish, something I've always wanted. And it seemed like for several years, that was getting more and more reality that may not be for me, or at least not in a biological sense like I always imagined it would be.
Yeah, I think we did a lot of that, right? We were like, okay, well, maybe parenthood looks different for us. Like, maybe we adopt, maybe we foster. Like, what other things would we do if we cannot have a child, biological child, like looking in that child's eyes and being able to see pieces of me and Jordan in it? Like, it just, what are the alternatives if this can't happen? So a lot of that, I think, was going on too. The what ifs, if I'm going to be honest, it's like, would you be happy here? Like, do I need to set you free so that you can have a family? Like, what if I can't offer you that? Because before we even started officially dating, we kind of even threw out, the wish list, the dream, what dreams do you have? And like, kids were always a part of that. Always. So we both really wanted it, and we didn't know why we couldn't achieve it together. But it's like, well, if we can't, how do we move forward? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. No, that's
a hard conversation to have.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that. When we're dating, we need to know what it is up front. Okay. But what's so funny is that I don't know if I've had this conversation with you. I feel like maybe I've had it with some of my other friends. Like, I'm like, and maybe this is an irrational fear that I've created in my mind, but I'm like, and so maybe this is a question, probably for both of you guys, when you are trying, because so maybe the question is, were you guys actively trying, like you said, you was, shoot the club up, wedding night, we could, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you are actively trying, like, does it become a task? I would feel like at some point trying to make this happen, or is it just one of those things of like, okay, like, we're having sex and not pregnant yet, and I'm not quite for sure why. And then I can imagine it becomes a task. Did it become a task for you guys when you were trying prior to, all of the things that you were doing?
Sorry.
We can say it together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at Tina say. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people romanticize it. So, okay, let me take us back. Like, I never wanted to use the term trying before we even knew we had issues. Like,
Yeah, right.
we pulled the goalie early, and it was just kind of like hey, we'll just see. Like, we're married. If we get pregnant, wonderful. Like, we welcome this child. If not, cool, more traveling. Like, there's nothing, like, it was just very carefree, no pressure. I hated the term trying. And then, we realize, hey, it's been however long, no kids. Okay, maybe now it's time to use that term trying. I hated it, but now we were trying. And it was like, not just trying, but you're clocking ovulation. You're using apps to kind of let you know when you need to be having sex. So it went from carefree and fun to
spontaneity,
intentional and deliberate.
Out the window.
It's 12 o'clock. Come on.
Yes.
Drop them draws. All right.
In the middle of a work meeting.
I feel like it was a lie that was made, or that people just were like, oh yeah, we're just having fun trying. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't sound like fun at all, trying. And then when I got into the actual trying piece of it, I was just like, yeah, this isn't the same. This isn't, it just, like he said, it took the spontaneity and the fun out of it. So yeah, absolutely.
So with that, do you feel like that I don't want to say put a strain on your relationship, because you guys were obviously in it together, but do you think that can put a strain on your relationship, causing, like you said, taking that spontaneity out, always trying? Like, do you think that also puts a strain on it as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, they always say if finances and sex ain't like where it needs to be,
clicking,
then that could cause
Clock
people to really go to divorce court. And
why did Jordan say
said if it ain't clicking, clock is ticking on that marriage.
Yeah, for real. Seriously. So I don't feel like we felt, maybe we felt the overall pressure of the entire situation, not so much what sex was for us at that point. At least that was for me. I don't want to speak for you.
No, we're together on that one.
Yeah. So I can totally see how it could just, cause a strain on a marriage. Absolutely. The whole process of going through infertility and the infertility treatments, that's grueling independently and as a unit. So it's, the divorce stats are out there. I can't quote them right now, but yeah, people, it hurts marriages.
Yeah, I believe it. So what do you say, if a couple is listening and like you said, they've been trying, they're kind of having this strain. What is maybe some advice that you can give them that helps you guys throughout the process? Any tips or anything like that?
One that I would say is talk. Communication. I know guys we usually don't like to share our feelings and how we're feeling about situations and stuff like that. But I think it helps you, and I think it helps your wife or your spouse when you share, because you realize you're really on the same page about stuff. Because we could have gone our separate corners and not talked, and then really started to go down a rabbit hole about, oh, this is my fault and woe is me and blah, blah, blah. When you find out that the other person feels the same way, then that guilt almost kind of it releases the guilt from you a little bit. And then you guys can just come together and try to just really communicate and battle this thing together. You know that you're in it together, and that the other one's not looking at you like, I know it's your fault. I know it's your fault. Right? Because you feel like that. She's looking at me like it's me. And he might be looking at me like it's,
100%.
But when you talk, you realize, each other is thinking that, hey, this is on me and I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it's not on you. It's on me. And you start, right? So
yeah,
that's one way.
Definitely. I mean, this is your partner through it, right? So if you're a couple going through it, the biggest resource you have is each other, I feel like. Another thing is just, it's a really it's an involved process, and it can be completely consuming. It's important to find those things that you guys really enjoy and continue to do that stuff. While going through treatment, we were still traveling. We love to travel. And we were still trying to find those pieces of happiness through, all of that. Basically my infertility calendar, as far as treatments go, it kind of had to fit into my life as well. Like it wasn't the other way around. And it's easy for it to be like, okay, a thing that grounds you and like you can't go anywhere. You've got to like be at this fertility clinic 4 days out of the week. And like, you know, you have to be on all these medications, but it's a grueling process, but you own it. Like, don't turn it around and have it kind of control you. Does that make sense?
No, that's good. That's really good. I like that you said it fit in your world and you didn't fit in its world. And like you said, like just being on the same team, I think that's really important. And so like kind of to piggyback off that, obviously, Tina, I know you were the one who had to, you know, go through the IVF and do all of the things. So I want to hear from both you guys. Tina, just from your perspective, how did you kind of work through that and deal with that? And Jordan, how did you support her in that? Because again, I'm thinking of people who are listening and like maybe seen, I've heard obviously how the process goes from you and like, you know, other people who have done it. But, you know, as far as like mentally, like, how do you work through that? And then Jordan, you as a partner, seeing her, you know, maybe go through some of the things that she's going through, how do you support her in that?
For me, it was devastating, honestly, when our last round of IUI didn't work. And it was like, okay, now we're facing IVF dead in the face. I was terrified. Mm-hmm. There's just so much that goes into that process. And with the needles and the constant like doctor visits, it was very scary. It was very scary. And I wasn't quite sure that I could do it. We took some time between the failed IUI cycle and starting IVF to just really be sure about it from all angles, mentally, emotionally, financially, because that's a whole nother beast, you know? So just making sure that we were okay moving forward. But I don't know. I think I really just leaned heavily on Jordan. Like he made me feel like I could do it. He was a solid partner in doing it. I never once felt alone. Like we laugh at it, but even if it was just for blood work, you know, you're just going to draw some blood so that they could test it. He was there.
So like in the waiting room. Thunder, because that's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
One of the ways that you
like, I have nothing.
One of the ways that you can support is by being there, because all of these appointments don't really require the man to be there. Everything that happens to the woman.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the ways that I can make sure she knows she's not going through this alone or not feel alone is by being at every appointment. I know that some people might say that's OD. Some people may not even have the ability or the opportunity, the way work and schedules go to do that. But I was fortunate enough to be able to do that for her. So I did it because I wanted her to never feel alone in it. And I think that's one of the major ways that you can help when you're the man, you can't do anything with it.
Major ways. Major. It helped me like get through the whole thing. So mentally I had my hurdles, but because of what was happening here in real life, I was like, okay, I could do this. So it was him.
Squad. Just a solid squad. You see, Jordan's like, actually, I should be there. Okay.
Don't be right.
Don't be trying to take my friend thunder. Tina, don't be trying to take my friend thunder, okay? Sorry. But no, I know it is late, but I really just loved having you guys here and just being honest and open, and just thank you guys for just continuing to be honest and open about your journey. Because so many people, again, like you said, like we talk about all the time with every type of grief, people don't talk about it. You know what I mean? So the last question I want to ask you guys, I know you guys kind of gave like some tips and advice, but what is the biggest takeaway for someone who's listening, whether they, are going through it now or may go through it in the future and they want to come back and listen to this episode? What is maybe, I guess, some last words of encouragement that you want to give them, if they're going through that journey?
Yeah, I want to say you're stronger than you think you are. And honestly, infertility isn't something that just impacts couples. Like there are single women out there that are, trying to, create their own family, or they may not have that support system intact through a spouse or partner. But what they do have is a village who loves them. They have friends and family who want to support them. And I would totally say that, like, as my final tip and takeaway is kind of help them help you. So tell people how you want to be supported. I don't think I was the best at that going through it, not initially at least. So there was a lot of maybe disappointment felt, a lot of things that I probably should have said or just sat out of it. I didn't feel, that I could. You could be selfish. You can tell people like, hey, I don't mind you checking in, but how about let my people call your people? When something happens, I'll let you know. It's a crazy roller coaster. And, you kind of feel responsible for updating everybody, but it also changes. Like there are constant updates. So that for me was a little burdensome to kind of always fill in everybody every step of the way. So, some people like a hands-on approach, some people don't. Your village probably doesn't know what you want in this particular struggle. So tell them. I mean, that's the best way that you can support yourself, is making sure your village knows how to support you.
That's good.
I love it. That's good.
I mean, that really says it all, but honestly, I can't follow up with that one. I would just say that in our personal journey, we were met with, for lack of a better word, failure after failure after failure. And we just kept striving. And I know that we had an unexplained diagnosis, so that helped us keep hope. But that's what I would just say is just, if you want something, keep hope that you can make it happen until it doesn't happen. If that's your journey. For some people, that is what happens. It's just not in the cards for them. But for some people, it is. Even with us, with our IVF, we actually went through a failed first IVF cycle too. So that was hard.
Went through 2 of them.
That was really rough.
Yeah.
IVF?
Yeah, 2 cycles of IVF.
I mean, we went through a failed transfer. Sorry. So we went through a failed transfer where we transferred an embryo and it failed, and it didn't result in pregnancy. Right. So that was rough to get through. And we could have maybe been like, yeah, it's just not for us, and we could have stopped. But fortunately, we were blessed, and we were able to just keep working and keep pushing through it. And now we have 2 beautiful kids because of it. Yes. And, so I just say that keep hope and keep pushing.
Yeah. Keep the faith.
No, I love that. You guys are so inspirational. We're a little inspirational couple.
Hilarious.
Well, if anyone wanted to reach out to you guys, talk to you guys about their journey, I know you guys are, open about it. Is there anywhere that they can reach you at, on social media, email, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website, www.infertilityunexplained.com, and that has all of our contact info. We also have an Instagram handle that's kind of inactive right now, but it's there. Unexplained_infertility.
I'll put it in the show notes. Don't worry, I got you.
Thanks, girl.
Well, thank you guys again for being here. Y'all are wonderful. Y'all look wonderful. And I know you guys are going to help so many people just in their journey. Like I said, just as couples. So I appreciate you both being here on this good night. I know it's late. We know we in our 30s and we sleepy these days. So
okay.
I'm going to sleep as soon as I get off here. So I appreciate y'all, and I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you so much, love.
I hope you all enjoyed that conversation with Christina and Jordan. I just absolutely love them. I just love their energy. And, I'm being maybe a little biased because they're some of my closest friends. But honestly, you saw just like how strong they are as a partnership. And so I admire that, having someone as strong as that as a partner there by your side, and so I just really appreciate them being open and honest about their journey when it comes to infertility, and to let people know that they're not alone and that you will get through it, like Tina said. And so if you are going through that journey, whether it is with a couple, like she said, being by yourself, you're not broken. Like you're not less than because you may be going through that. You're not worthy of, a child or the beautiful things in life just because you're having, maybe some issues in the moment. You're still worthy of everything that God has for you. You're still worthy of children. You're still worthy of beautiful, amazing life. And so if you are going through that, I'm sending you lots of love and light. And I really just want you to know and hope that they gave you some inspiration to know that, you know, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel, you know what I mean? And the light may be, hey, what is family like? Jordan and Christina said, what does that look like for us? Maybe it's different. Maybe it's adoption. Maybe it's fostering, maybe it's insert whatever that looks like for you guys, right? And even, again, like she said, for single women, like who want to start a family, maybe it's just adopting a child. I know a woman who adopted a child. She's a single woman and her daughter is thriving. I love her so much and her daughter is just thriving. And so I want you to know that you're still worthy of those beautiful things that you want in your life. You're still worthy of the amazing family dynamic that you wanted, even if you may be having some issues at the moment. Just know that you're not broken. Nothing's wrong with you. You just may be having these issues, but you can get through it. You're stronger than what you think you are, as Tina said. And so, as I always say, as you're going through the journey, as you're trying to figure it out, give yourself grace and be kind to yourself, because if you don't, who will, guys? Thank you so much again for listening to another week's episode of This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief. I am Lauren Denise. If you are not following me, please follow me on Instagram at This Too Shall Suck podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please remember to rate, review, and follow and share with your family and friends. This episode, as all episodes, are produced by Mike Sick, and the music is produced by Jimmy Samaj. Thank you guys again. I love you, and I'm sending you love and light in your life because you deserve it. I will see you guys on the next episode. Mwah. All right, my loves, I hope you all enjoyed that episode. You can actually listen to This Too Shall Suck podcast, a fresh perspective on grief, on all listening platforms. And make sure, if you're not already, following me on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook at This Too Shall Suck podcast. And you can hit my website as well. Learn more about your girl, Lauren Denise, at www.thistooshallsuckpodcast.com. If you love this episode, if it resonated with you, make sure you hit that like button. Let me know, because I know I need to make more videos like that for you. And meet me in the comments. Let's talk about it. I love, love, love talking to y'all. And make sure you definitely hit that little bell, that little subscribe button. Thank you guys as always, and I'll see you on the next episode.